Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today's question asks if I can talk about the mental health and personality factors that may be at work with Paula White. Another question here is, why do people believe in prosperity gospel? Just a reminder, I'm not diagnosing anybody in this video, only speculating about what could be happening in a situation like this. If you enjoyed this video, please like it, subscribe to my channel, and consider supporting me on Patreon. I'll put the link to Patreon in the description for this video. So first I'll look at the background of Paula White, then I'll move to the mental health and personality factors. Paula White was born in Tupelo, Mississippi on April 20, 1966. Her parents, Donald and Myra, owned a toy and craft store. Their marriage ran into problems when White was 5 years old. Her parents separated, and she moved with her mother to Memphis, Tennessee. Not long after this, her father brought an end to his own life. Among other stressors this caused, it placed a tremendous financial burden on the family. White's mother began having difficulty regulating her intake of alcohol. From age 6 through 13, White was the victim of abuse, both physically and sexually. There were a number of different perpetrators. When White was 9 years old, her mother remarried, and the family moved to the Washington, D.C. area. White would end up graduating from a high school in Maryland. White said that she had a vision from God when she was 18 after she converted to Christianity. In this vision, God told her that people would be healed, delivered, or saved every time she opened her mouth and declared the word of the Lord. When she shut her mouth, people would fall into utter darkness. She claimed that God called her to preach the gospel. After a failed marriage, she would get married again in 1992 to a man named Randy White. Together in 1991, they would start a church in Tampa, Florida that would become known as the Without Walls International Church. At first, the church was not making money, but eventually attendance started to increase. By 1999, 5,000 people were coming to services each week. In 2001, White started a show called Paula White Today. It would appear on a number of television networks eventually, which would include Daystar, Black Entertainment Television, and Trinity Broadcast Network. This would fall under Paula White Ministries. In 2002, she became a personal minister to Donald Trump. Evidently, he had watched her television show. White appears to have been critical in Donald Trump's conversion to Christianity. She gave the invocation prayer during his inauguration. She has met with him many times in the Oval Office and has served as one of his advisors. White opened another church location that same year, in 2002, in Lakeland, Florida. This was called Without Walls Central Church. In 2007, Randy White and Paula White divorced. In 2010, White denied that she was having an affair after being photographed holding hands with Benny Hinn. This was another televangelist. White claimed that she got along well with her ex-husband Randy, and they continued to run the church together. Now, their enterprise was tax-exempt. The difficulty was that millions of tax-exempt ministry dollars were paid as salaries to White's family members. $900,000 was used to pay for a waterfront mansion for White. The church was the subject of an investigation with which White did not cooperate. No action was taken as the result of the investigation, so there were no penalties, nothing happened to her. The church started to run into serious financial problems. They owed $50,000 in electric bills, so their power was shut off. Some of their properties went into foreclosure. In addition to the two churches I mentioned, in 2012, White became the senior pastor of another church in Apopka, Florida. She would hold that position until 2019. In 2014, Without Walls International Church filed for bankruptcy protection. White would marry for a third time in 2015 to Jonathan Cain, who is best known for being a member of the band Journey. At the time making this video, White is still active in Paula White Ministries, as well as a number of other endeavors. Now moving to the mental health and personality factors. White reported that she had bulimia when she was younger. I'm not aware of any other reports about mental health. White has a very active style of preaching and praying. She's fast-moving, snaps her fingers, shakes her fist, bounces, shouts, and spins. She also makes several attempts at humor, which fail pretty badly. There's no way to know about her personality for sure because it's not clear if she's acting or if the person we see on the stage is really her. A potential personality profile for the persona would be low openness to experience, mid-range conscientiousness, high extroversion, mid-range agreeableness, and low neuroticism. White has been criticized for what some consider intriguing or unusual behavior. Let's review a few examples. She's been called a heretic and a charlatan. She promotes the idea of prosperity gospel or prosperity theology. This is a system of belief that says that God wants to financially reward people who follow him. Essentially, one's service to God and faith in God can be measured by how wealthy one is. Now, it's not only service and faith that can lead to prosperity. Another way is to give money to designated spiritual leaders, like Paula White. Ostensibly, the more one gives to Paula White, the more one receives from God in return. When she requests donations, which is often, she refers to the money as a seed. So the seed is planted, and it grows, I guess, into a money tree. She says that every time we give, something supernatural happens. This is not the only area that has led people to declare White a heretic. She doesn't believe in the Trinity, and she believes that Jesus Christ was not the only Son of God. White said that anyone who tells you to deny yourself is from Satan. White has been introduced several times as Dr. Paula White. She has no college degree at all, much less a doctoral degree. White has denied being a heretic, saying that she did not deny the Trinity. She said she was not a charlatan. She said that she has never filed for bankruptcy. White implied that people who are against Donald Trump operate in sorcery and witchcraft. She has implied that when people criticize her belief, it is really just a trick because they're actually trying to hurt Donald Trump. In January of 2020, White gave a sermon in which she had an unusual prayer. She asked for the miscarriage of all satanic pregnancies. Later, she said it was a metaphor. I would guess that for medical students studying to be like an OB/GYN, the class on satanic pregnancies is probably not one they look forward to, mostly because of the Satan part. Also, I would think that the horns and the pitchfork would make delivery challenging. They would have to bill extra for that, like it's a complication. So when the patient was scrutinizing her hospital bill, she would say, "What's this pitchfork charge for $1,000? In November 2020, right after the presidential election, White had a prayer service designed to help Trump win. She was highly repetitive, and she made a few different statements. She said, "I hear the sound of victory. There was an abundance of rain on the way. Angelic reinforcement was coming from Africa and South America. Demonic confederacies were attempting to steal the election from Trump." She started to engage in an activity that looked like speaking in tongues. She implied that it is God's will that Donald Trump remain in the White House. So I have a few thoughts here. As far as her hearing the sound of victory, she may want to work on her sound identification skills. Looking at the angelic reinforcement, I think I know what might have happened here. The angels were probably on a summer break in Africa and South America, so they were a little rusty and couldn't help Trump win the election when they came back. This is why when you ask for help from angels, you want to make sure that they were not recently on vacation. It's like buying a car that was built on a Friday. You just don't get the same quality. Now, looking at the demonic confederacy, the word confederacy implies a group that comes together for an illicit purpose. How does White know that the demons were not getting together to fight for better prenatal care, especially with her attack on satanic pregnancies? How about the speaking in tongues part? Well, there's no way to prove or disprove this phenomenon. From my clinical experience, I have encountered a number of people who at one time claimed to speak in tongues, but later they would admit that they were faking it. I think what happens in any group based on values, whether it's religious or otherwise, is that people desperately want to belong to the group. They want to prove that they are worthy, a fully participating member, or even a leader. So the speaking in tongues behavior becomes an easy way to prove to everybody that they belong. Now to the last question here. Why do people believe in prosperity gospel? This ideology takes advantage of many people, but people who are not doing well financially tend to be more common targets. I think what happens here is that some people who are in financial distress cannot see a way out of it. They don't have any way to escape poverty, or there's no easy method. At this point, they can either accept that or not. If they cannot accept it, then they need to believe that their circumstance can change. Prosperity gospel allows people to connect this need with a pre-existing belief system. Essentially, they add additional items to what they believe God will do for them. In addition to going to heaven after they die, they will be prosperous on earth. It's much easier to add a new belief to a current belief system than to introduce a new belief by itself. Another effect that keeps people trapped in this thinking is that if somebody challenges their belief that God will make them wealthy, they tend to take it as an attack on their entire religious belief system. So it's easy for them to dismiss criticism because they are unable to understand how the criticism is focused on just that one element, the part where they lose their money. A person like Paula White is selling an idea that people need to believe. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. She can't lose. There is no other option for them. In reality, the only people who make money with prosperity gospel are the people like Paula White. So those are my thoughts on Paula White. Please put any opinions and thoughts in the comments section. They always generate an interesting dialogue. As always, I hope you found my analysis of this topic to be interesting. Thanks for watching.